Hi everyone. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about daily management. I know I said what my last video was going to be, my next video was going to be about, and I'm my views on it are kind of being reviewed at the moment. So I'll come back to that one later on. So in the 9 years that I've had some level of pain, and in the last 3 years where my pain has been getting progressively worse, I've only really had kind of odd afternoons and single days off whatever I was doing, whether it be university or my current job. And this week, last Wednesday, my doctor signed me off for a week, and this is the first time that that's kind of happened. As it turns out, it's been quite good because my parents have been able to carry on going to work while we've had some work done on the house, and we're having our downstairs bathroom redone. So so from a family perspective, it hasn't been too damaging. From my perspective, being at home on my own doesn't really kind of help my depression. Which is why in the past, I guess, I've never really taken any prolonged time off, because I regularly worry about losing my motivation and my drive without having my job. So I mentioned in one of my videos, and with a few of you that I've been talking to, that I've somehow managed to spend over £320 on various therapies in the last just over 2 weeks, which I think is quite an achievement. I've seen my therapist 3 times, which in fairness is kind of normal. I've had a couple of massages, which I was my regular means of management when I was at university, because I had a place that did really good student multi-buy discounts. So I got maybe 5 or 6 40-minute sessions for about £100 when I paid for them all up front. So that was quite a cheap management while I was at university, and quite a nice escape. But now that I'm working, I mean, it's quite expensive. It's at least £25 for half an hour. So it was kind of, I saw it as a more one-off thing. I've got an itch. Sorry, I've got an insect bite on my leg that's really irritating me. So that's been something that I've done, and it's been more of a holistic management thing rather than anything really to do with alleviating the pain. It's been to relax, to improve my focus, just have something nice done, and it certainly has worked for that. I have left feeling more relaxed, and my shoulders have dropped from around my ears after having the session, so it definitely hasn't been a waste. I've also had a couple of sessions with Dee, Tiptoe Chick, her spiritual consultations, that have really been invaluable. She's because we don't know each other that well, and she only knows exactly what I've told her, and she's in America, there was this lovely distance that I feel that she did manage to look at the situation with a bit of perspective that possibly I've lost, and even my counsellor's lost, as she's got to know me over the last year, and has kind of lost that distance where, I'm a new client who she doesn't know. So that was very helpful. That she definitely gave me plenty of things to think about, and it was lovely really talking to someone who didn't talk to me like a consciousness with pain. She did talk to me as a whole person, and we explored kind of relationships and things to think about and goals and objectives to have for the future, kind of short-term future, and a couple of, techniques that might be helpful. She's told me that it might be useful for me to plan a few days away to just kind of remove myself from every affiliation that I currently have with my current routine and my life as it stands at this moment. So although it's away in the future, I have planned to go and visit some family who I haven't seen for a while in September after I finish my job but before my exam, just for a couple of days. I've also made plans to go and visit my best friend in Newcastle. And I think having a plan or something to look forward to is really important, and I had kind of forgotten about that concept because I thought I had that looking towards my qualification, but with that whole thing being such a source of stress, I guess it kind of lost that perspective. It had lost that aspect in all the stress of the job. So yeah, I've definitely gained a lot from speaking to her. She's certainly a woman who speaks a lot of sense and who's very wise. Yeah. Yesterday I also had hypnosis. Now, the session was an hour and a half. We just talked for the first 15 minutes about what I wanted to get out of the session, what's going on, the problems I'm having, and then an hour and 15 minutes of the hypnosis. Now, the way that he spoke about hypnosis made me feel like it was going to be different from meditation, in the sense that he kept going on and on about how it was not a kind of sleep, it's a heightened sense of awareness and a heightened sense of information that's said out loud, which is, I hadn't really looked at it like that before. I'd done a few self-hypnosis CDs and things. I'd done one of Paul McKenna's deep relaxation hypnosis CDs, and after hearing that, I felt that was more of a guided meditation as opposed to hypnosis, because it was a relaxing and sedating thing that's supposed to help you go to sleep. Now, he was very good yesterday. It was very tailored to me and things we'd spoken about. He definitely showed me a lot of different visualizations to use, which I wouldn't have thought of otherwise. Some associated with just my breathing, some associated with kind of body scan methods, and the movement of light, that kind of thing that you get a lot in guided meditations. But whenever he did, specifically refer to my pain in the meditation, I found it almost distracting. I almost came out of the state a bit, because what he was saying wasn't true. It was almost as if I know I've just seen on my wall that that Sammy's just done a video on In Pursuit of Happiness and how positive thinking can't work. But instead of telling me to visualize the pain reducing or visualize me removing my pain, he kept saying over the hours period, now you can barely realize that you're in pain at all, and now your pain's gone, you almost don't believe that you had pain an hour ago. And all of this he's saying while I'm trying so hard to not be distracted by the pain. And I'm thinking, no, this isn't true. I'm doing something wrong. And all that happened was it just made me incredibly self-critical, because in fairness, that's the way that I respond to most things. Oh, it's my fault. I'm a moron. I'm incompetent and I'm not doing it right. But when I got to the end and he brought me back into the room, I remembered everything as if it was a guided meditation. So I'm not quite sure whether I didn't go as deep into it as I should have done because of the pain, or whether my response to what he was saying prevented me from going into a deeper state, or even if that's what it is. It's, I guess if you don't meditate, then it would be a complete revelation to be able to disappear into your heart space and go into that. But I didn't really find it any more or less effective than any of my other guided meditations that I have. In particular, the half an hour meditation that Charming Pixie Flora donated for the Healers Conference by Hibiscus Moon. That meditation has, in all senses of the phrase, changed my life, in the way that if I have half an hour set aside, it will be an effective half an hour meditation to do regardless of what state I'm in. That is absolutely brilliant. And I don't know where it is on her site, or if it was only available for people who attended the Healers Conference, but I will find out, and I'll post it below when I find out. But yeah, I almost feel that I gained no more in an hour and a half, that was incredibly expensive, than I would have gained from doing 2 cycles of Flora's meditation that I've been practicing on and working on, which I know works for me. So it's one of those things where I now almost don't know whether to go back. I don't know whether I need to go back, whether I can gain any more from him, or whether I maybe need to go and see someone else to check that it's the same. And obviously, after having spent this much money in the last not very many days, I am kind of resistant to go back and revisit that avenue when I feel that I already have those skills. And also, I just don't know if it was his approach or his choice of words that weren't possibly as beneficial as it could have been. What I will say, though, is that when I came out of it at the end, I was incredibly relaxed. I'd focused on my breathing for an hour and a half, which in fairness is longer than I normally spend meditating at any one go, because I usually can't, stay in that position for that long. So, I would never say it was a waste of my time, because it was incredibly relaxing, and I did leave feeling a lot calmer and a lot less tense, and the pain intensity was a lot less. But after 5 minutes of leaving his house and walking a little way, although my tension hadn't come back, the intensity of the pain was back exactly where it was, and I didn't get the long-term benefits that I can sometimes get from other means that I use, including the morphine. Yeah, so it was definitely interesting, and maybe when I'm in a different financial situation, I will go back to reinforce the ideas that were introduced yesterday, but I feel that they weren't new ideas to me. So that's kind of my reflection on the hypnosis I had yesterday. The reason I actually went was because my GP had been suggesting it for a while, and I felt that, since he doesn't seem to feel he can do any more for me at the moment, I really had to do that. I had to do what he was suggesting, if that was all he could come up with at the moment. So, yeah, obviously I won't tell him, it made no difference. I will tell him that it was incredibly relaxing. He's given me lots of tools to work with, but I will definitely benefit from having done all of the work on my heart space and meditation previously in order to use it. Otherwise, I would be needing regular treatment for it to be effective at all. So this has kind of turned into a gush for Charming Pixie Flora, but, appreciation where it's deserved, and I certainly recommend that guided meditation. If any of you are in a tough financial situation and you're tossing up whether or not to go to hypnotherapy, I would certainly suggest that before parting with that money, you are familiarizing yourself with meditation techniques, because in my view that was all it was. And you can do that by visiting guided meditations, and there are plenty on YouTube. And yeah, I certainly feel like I haven't wasted any of that money, but I am certainly disappointed that regardless of my commitment and the fact that I have forced myself to commit because of how low I've been feeling, I do feel like I deserved a greater outcome from it. But that's fine. If I'm too sore to tolerate massage anymore, then that's the way it is. Yeah, but I guess this does all come down to how much my life has been changed by connecting with the pagan community and learning these skills. And I can only thank you for that, even though, of course, I didn't find you guys through any link with the Chronic Pain Network. So, thank you very much. And I will be in touch soon. And when I've stopped spending all this money on stupid things, everyone that received stupid things, no, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. When I've stopped spending money on ineffective things and stopped spending it on myself, obviously my regular donations will return. I just needed to have this time while people are telling me that I can't go to work to see what I need to do to manage my pain better. And obviously the answer is work on my meditation and do something else. But this seems to be what it's going to be like, which is why I am not in a position to do the video that I wanted to do on positivity and management and determination, because it's slipping through my fingers. Slipping through. I will speak to you soon.